A year ago, there were 20,000 Muslims in this valley. They made up 95% of the population. Now, there are none. In the attacks, 6,000 civilians are thought to have died. Those who couldn't scramble over the border in refugee columns were herded into makeshift concentration camps only a few miles from here.
In this house, on the floor, I found this old Yugoslav passport belonging to R Hrvatsku. We don't know what happened to him, but like the others, his house was burned. The passport is out of date and useless, but in order to become a Muslim refugee, I'm going to need an identity, so I'm going to use his name. Although I can't experience the terror those families must have felt, I'm going to try to experience what it feels like to be a refugee on the long road from Bosnia.
About 1,000 refugees cross the bridge each day, and they're coming from here. This is Banja Luke, Serb capital of Bosnia, and headquarters of the Serb army. It's the center of a different kind of terror. No need to burn down whole communities in this stronghold. The city is being ethnically cleansed by selective assassination. Banja Luke was once ethnically well integrated. It was a third Serb, a third Croat and a third Muslim. Now the Muslim areas of the city echo to the sound of random gunfire day and night as ethnic cleansing gathers pace. Again, the process is reminiscent of pre-war Germany. Muslims are prevented from working, so they have no money. After selective assassinations, groups flee to the border. The only escape route for this group of 500 victims is the bridge bordering Bosnia and the UN protected area. But the column I've joined has been stalled by Serbian police on the bridge. Thrown out of their homes in Banja Luke this morning, the column still have Serb checkpoints to get through before they're safe. The hold-up is because a group of Croat refugees in a car have arrived at the bridge without the right clearance papers. They abandoned their car, and UN police smuggled the family over the bridge in their own truck under the noses of the Serbs. Go! UN police risk moving the convoy with the family hidden on board.
Big problem. Yeah, big problem. We have to get going.
But there's still one Serb checkpoint to get through before the convoy and the family are safe. We're in no man's land. These refugees have three options open to them. Those with the correct documents will go to Sweden and Germany. Others will stay with relatives in Zagreb, the Croatian capital 15 miles away. Those with little money or no papers will end up in Croatian refugee camps trying to find a way out to Europe. I've decided to attach myself to the last group to find out what happens to them. For this part of the trip, I have a Croat interpreter, Andrea, also trying to pass off as a refugee. We approached the last Serb checkpoint. Serb police at the bridge have phoned ahead to say there's a family illegally on board the convoy. Trouble begins when Serb police begin searching buses to arrest the family. This is the edge of a UN zone, and UN police object. Also present at the checkpoint is the sector's UN civilian head, Gerard Fischer. Stenka, the UN interpreter, translates.
This is a family which came with a car which wasn't allowed to cross the bridge, and the family is on a bus. Now they are mentioning just that their family don't have the right papers.
Fischer argues for the lives of the family with the Serb police.
U konvoju se nalaze osobe koje su prešle bez papira, dok osobe ne izađu van koje nemaju papire, konvoj dalje ne može ići. Ako treba borba, borba.
He is saying that if that persons don't step out from a convoy, convoy will be stopped here, and if there is a need for fighting, we will have a fighting.
Yeah, this is the best thing. Fighting is already solves all the problems, right?
Kaže, hoće borba riješiti sve probleme.
Right?
Prolaz
nema.
Okay.
There's no...
You don't understand the rules of the Cyrus Vance plan. No, but I am interested in it because this is our sector and not your sector.
As tension increases, the Serb police begin searching cars, ostensibly looking for weapons among the refugees.
This is not in line with the Cyrus-Vance plan, what they are doing at the moment.
I know that.
So I would advise you to stop them if you're in charge. They cannot do that. They are UNPA, and this has nothing to do with Srpska Krajina, and this is totally out of line. Totally out of line. This is totally out of line what you're doing.
We're going to get the military to...
I am going to bring the military in here.
We're going to bring the military in if we don't allow the convoy to
You
go.
cannot stop them and check them. You can't. You are not the border police. You're not the border police. And if you want, we bring the military in and get it through.
They said that they can block the road if there is something.
Bolje da te dve osobe izađu i da nam se kaže koje su to osobe, da vidimo...
I'm getting the Jordanians now. I'm getting the Jordanians.
Who are they?
There's some military assistance. You can?
In the end, only the threat of a machine gun from Jordanian UN troops gets the convoy past the Serbs. At dusk, the convoy moves off again to a Croat checkpoint a mile away and to safety. All they must endure now is hours of Croatian bureaucracy. This is Europe in 1993, and we're seeing the enforced movement of entire populations not seen since the Second World War.
How much did they have to pay?
It cost a lot to get out.
And we had to pay in Deutschmarks. I estimate for the amount of money we gave, we could exist for a whole year.
So this is the paper saying that he was in a concentration camp. I think it's that you say that. He was in the concentration camp at Ternopili? Ternopili, I see. And his whole family was there as well?
All my family were there.
How many other families were there? He has 2 children. How many other families were in the concentration camp?
4,046.
This child was in a concentration camp? Where was that? Where was the concentration?
Another Croatian checkpoint down the road. More paperwork. Relatives from Zagreb and Austria have heard about the convoy and are looking for missing relatives on the buses from Bosnia.
You must be very tired. You're tired?
Very, very tired.
And do you know where you're going to now?
Now somebody comes and only come on the doors and knocking and say, please, you have for 2 o'clock you must go out. And you go out only with this bag. Nothing you can get out of that house.
The lucky ones are those being met by relatives from Croatia. They live in hope, while our group on the buses become the real refugees. Then the convoy moves on to safety and the refugee camps. We're dropped at Novska railway station, and the buses return to Bosnia for tomorrow's consignment of refugees. No one knows what's happening or what we're meant to do. It's midnight and 5 degrees below. The people left Banja Luke at 6 this morning. These scenes could be a replay from World War II. Perhaps this is the reason why older people remain calm while young children whose day began as an adventure collapse into silence. At 2 in the morning, a train arrives, but the authorities won't let it start for Zagreb.
18 hours ago, these people left their homes and they're now waiting in a railway siding for the train to go to Zagreb. We've just heard that it's not leaving now till 5 in the morning because the authorities there don't want to receive any refugees before then.
We begin moving to Zagreb. Then the talking starts again. All people have now is their memories.
We'll never go back.
Yes, we will. Where will we go if we don't? The rights of the 3 communities will be the same. We'll be back.
We surrendered. That's why we weren't killed. 600 were sent to Zenica concentration camp. Just 90 survived and the rest were killed.
We've suddenly become a commuter train for Zagreb businessmen. The real reason we didn't leave Novska until 5 a.m. For a few moments, the refugees become part of normal life again.
Ostajete u Zagrebu ili?
Ne, idemo dalje.
U Njemačku ili? A ne znate?
Sad trebamo, bit ćemo tu neko vrijeme da
I have no papers, apart from the old passport I found, so Andrew and I join a group stuck in Croatia. Our next home will be a refugee camp. We're going to approach the local Red Cross. I can't speak the language, so Andrew is going to say I'm a Muslim refugee from Banja Luke who's dumb. We journey across Zagreb to a government centre which we're told will register refugees.
Hello, this boy came from Novska with a train of refugees which arrived this morning. Do you know about it? You don't know about it.
Where did it come from?
Banja Luke. He can't speak. He's a Muslim. He can't speak and he cannot cope alone. Where does he need to go?
Because he's a Muslim, he should go to the mosque.
You only take people from Croatia. They sent us over here.
You have to have a letter of guarantee. Without that we can do little. He is illegal.
Without papers, he can't stay here, then.
As far as the Croatian government is concerned, I'm an illegal because I have no documents. So with Samir, a Muslim interpreter, who's also becoming a refugee to help me, we look for shelter at Zagreb's main mosque. Since communities began pouring out of Bosnia, the mosque has become the focus of all Muslim activity in Zagreb. Food aid and clothes from around the world are sent here. Refugees are smuggled out of Bosnia, and soldiers are smuggled back in. It's also a haven for refugees who are stuck, those without proper papers. The basement is already overflowing. If you're lucky, you're allocated a space 4x4. We're given temporary space near a family from Sanskog Mosta, one of the worst-hit Muslim areas by Bosnian Serbs.
Put your luggage near the door and wait.
You can sit here.
Are you moving on?
I don't know. I don't know.
Have you any documents? Are you off to Germany?
We've got nothing.
Have you got any papers?
I've got an old Yugoslav passport valid until 1995. I need to go forward. If I can't, I'll go back to Bosnia. There are 4 of our family scattered in 3 countries. It's a situation out of my control.
You can't go to your husband in Austria? You can't get to him?
I can't. I can't. They won't let me travel.
I can't register because I've no papers. So I'm now an illegal and I'm directed to Resnik camp in Zagreb. It's packed with 3,000 Muslim illegals stranded in Croatia without money or papers. Resnik is like being in a time capsule. You need to remind yourself this is 1993, not Europe in 1945. We have money but no papers, and we've heard there are people in Resnik who can get us documents to escape Croatia. Refugees with papers can move on to Europe, but of the 250,000 victims of ethnic cleansing in Croatia, 100,000 are stuck, unable to move on. Does she feel then that she's effectively stuck in Croatia?
If you've relatives in Western countries, these people would send guarantee letters for you to leave, but I've nobody to send me that letter.
They are stuck here. That's the feeling, because they cannot go any further to Europe. They don't have any relatives.
Another family had found a way out because of their grim experiences.
They're going to Canada.
Okay. How did they arrange to go to Canada? What arrangements did they make? How did they get to go?
My husband was at Manicha concentration camp, and we're all going to Canada with him.
Her husband has been in a Manicha concentration camp, and he got the papers.
Our plan is to ask refugees about established escape routes to Europe. Do most of the people here wish to stay in Croatia, or do some of them want to go to Europe?
There are mainly the poorest in this camp, those with nothing left.
In this camp, most of the poorest people remained.
The people who are going to Europe, how are they getting there?
Only if they can get a relative to send a visa and guarantee financial support, so they aren't causing added problems to the community.
This man doesn't have a passport. He has a brother and a father in Germany, but he cannot go to join them.
Then we heard about Hazim Avdic, one of the camp's leaders, a man they said could get us false transit papers. We are very interested in buying the correct documents to get us to Hungary, or anywhere else in Europe, really.
Buy documents? Do you know the way to do it? I think the easiest and simplest way would be to go to Karlovac.
His advice is to go to Karlovac, where is the collective center for those ex-men from concentration camps. He believes that it's not that hard to get the papers of ex-campmen.
Yeah. Karlovac is 14 miles from Zagreb. The town's central areas had been bombed by the Serbian Air Force. Now the castle's a camp for Muslims who've been freed from concentration camps. These men were being given priority of passage to foreign countries, so sometimes they were prepared to sell their own papers. We'd been given a letter from Hazim Avdic to give to this young man, who turned out to be his nephew.
Can we go somewhere private? Can we go somewhere private?
We pitali Hazima.
We've heard there are some people who want to sell their documents here. You understand, the documents are to get us out of the country.
There was a man here, but he's gone now. He had a document. He wanted to sell his papers, but he's gone.
Any paper.
Are you looking for Red Cross documents or letters of guarantee?
Any paper, as long as it allows us to travel to a European country. I don't know what the regulations are for traveling.
I know. I would like to help everybody. I'm thinking of going myself, but I don't know whether to or not. I would like to help you.
If there are documents for sale, can you ask around?
I can ask around.
Good, good.
Tell him we would pay 1,000 Deutschmarks, we would, but we'd prefer to pay 500. And if it's 500 or less, we'll take it. If he wants more than that.
I'm very sorry.
Can't you find anything? Can't you ask somebody?
I was asking people now. There are no men I know who could do this. The two people who had documents and wanted to sell them when they were here have just gone to Canada.
It looked like another dead end.
He says nothing in the next 5 or 10 days.
Does he know there's money in it for him?
I keep telling money, money, money. He kept telling, I know, I know, I know.
With that escape route closed off, we begin looking for another. Then we heard about a group of refugees north of Zagreb in a station near Varaždin, close to the Hungarian border. They've been there some months and were trying to organize buses to cross into Hungary, to get to Sweden via Slovakia and the ferry from Poland. Sweden said they'd take them, even without the proper documents. One group was squatting in railway carriages and had been at the border for nearly 5 months. They got used to the barest living standards. There was another group in a railway station who we'd heard were crossing the border by bus at 2 that morning. "300 Muslim refugees were in the station itself. They'd fled Bosnia on Christmas Eve and had been stranded at the station for nearly a month, trying to cross the border into Hungary. We tried to get details about the bus. We want to cross the border, but, like them, we haven't got proper passports."
How much does it cost?
120 Deutschmarks.
120 Deutschmarks.
I'm not sure where it goes.
Where's the bus going?
Poland.
Poland?
I came here a month ago. I've got a proper passport, but I've tried to leave 4 times.
They're not allowing people to leave.
It sounded like another lost cause, so we joined the group of 300 and tried to sleep. At 4 in the morning, we're awakened. A solitary bus had turned up with room for just 30 refugees. The Croatian business people organizing the trip now wanted 130 Deutschmarks to travel and a valid passport from the old Yugoslav Republic. As most of the refugees hadn't got passports, only ID cards, ugly scenes break out. Previously, they'd been promised these documents would be enough.
Work out amongst yourselves who wants to travel.
We all want to go.
I've only got 1 bus.
It's unfair for all of us.
It's not me. It's at the frontier where the problems will be.
I've got an identity card.
It's no good. It won't get you through.
Every day there are dozens of us looking for tickets. We don't want to stay. We're not tourists. We're refugees. It's disgraceful how you're treating us. We have special needs. You're inflating the price. Tomorrow, it'll be even dearer still. 150 Deutschmarks.
The other business partner, a Croatian woman, begins rejecting travel documents.
Stop making a monkey out of me. Everything was settled, we were told. Yesterday your son told us, and the people over there told us we had the right documents to travel.
Who told you that? That person, they can take you. No one's going on my bus without the right documents. I don't want to be sent back because of documents.
I offer her the passport I found in Bosnia, the one I'm using as my identity.
This passport is not valid. This passport's not valid. It's not valid.
I can't take you. What am I going to do with you? When you get to the border, you'll be sent back.
Please take this little girl. Hold her.
Just 30 people got out that night, leaving another 250 refugees trapped at the railway station next morning. For Samir and me, another escape line had closed. At this stage, refugees without papers get increasingly desperate. To get away, refugees have to take bigger and bigger risks. They told us of a group of Macedonians, a cafe owner and his brothers, who are running an illegal smuggling operation. These war profiteers wanted 700 Deutschmarks to drive a person to Munich.
Can you tell your brother we need his help? We're worried about being left behind. Can you guarantee help from your brother?
There's no need for guarantees. There'll be no problems. He was driving people over the day before yesterday. He drove 3 people over for 1,200 Deutschmarks. He'll be taking you over on foot.
On foot? And the car will be waiting on the other side. When you travel to Munich, which way do you go?
I don't know. My brother knows how to get there.
How long does it take?
1 day.
4 hours later, night. The man in the leather jacket is the driver. The man in the white coat will be our guide. The handshakes are for the money men, the Macedonian cafe owners.
No problem.
Can we leave immediately?
Yes, okay. You pay me half now, and the other half when we arrive.
In Munich?
You're going to Munich?
Yes, we're going to Munich.
It's a bigger price to Munich.
You told me 700 Deutschmarks.
Yes, individually. 700 now, 700 when you arrive. No problem.
The plan is that we drive through Slovenia, where there's no proper border checks. The driver would then drop us in a wood at the Austrian border. The guide, the man in the white coat, would take us on foot across a secluded part of the border, where we'd meet the car on the other side.
Don't be afraid.
How can we not be afraid?
We leave Boraveći just before midnight. The driver's confident. He tells us he takes refugees without papers regularly along this escape route.
Which border will we go over on foot?
The Austrian.
The Slovenian-Austrian border? How long does that take?
The time it takes to smoke 1 cigarette.
An hour later, we're crossing the border from Croatia into neighbouring Slovenia, a border with only light security tonight.
We have to make up a story if we're stopped. This man that's with me, the guide, has a girlfriend in Slovenia. We met you two at the girl's home, and you asked for a lift.
So you stopped the car?
Yes.
Escaping refugees play a dangerous game dealing with these Macedonian adventurers. As we approach the crossing point to Austria, our driver and guide begin boasting of frequent brushes with Austrian border police.
So it's only a short walk and there's Austria.
If God grant us.
What?
With God's help.
Why do you think we need God's help? I know God needs to be with us, but what do you think can happen to us?
I don't think about what could happen.
Nor was our confidence increased when it became obvious that our driver and guide were lost.
Ima negdje oko 2,5 kilometara. Odmah dođete na granicu. Kad dođete? No, budemo vidjeti. 150 metara. Hvala, želim.
Minutes later, we stopped near a wood. We're to walk across open fields for half an hour and cross the border at an old tank ditch. Our car will meet us on the other side.
We're now in Austria, having walked for an hour through ploughed fields and over a tank ditch, and we're now waiting for the Macedonians to pick us up from this roadside. We're sitting in a wood.
An hour later, our driver turns up. He's rattled about something.
I was stopped by the police. The police said it wasn't a problem. They were only checking papers. It's not a problem.
We drive into Austria fast. Suddenly, a police car's on our tail. Our driver accelerates alarmingly to get rid of our pursuers. We're in a beat-up old Capri approaching speeds of 90 miles an hour along country lanes. Suddenly, the driver tries an old trick. To get rid of the police, he slows down, turns right, and flicks off his lights. We continue careering along in the darkness at high speed. Then, after a quarter of a mile, we can see again, but the car's all over the road and the police are still behind us. Samir and I in the back are terrified. The driver is on the wrong side of the road, taking corners at speeds of 100 miles an hour. He nearly hits this car. Then we take this corner at 90, and the driver almost crashes. We've had enough.
Calm down, calm down.
Samir and the guide shout to our driver to give up.
Slow down.
We slow into a cafe. The plainclothes border police are agitated after their high-speed chase.
Auf mit die Hände. Was fährt denn so schnell? Warum so schnell fahren? Tu die Hände auf. Wo kommst du her? Woher?
Getting no answers, the police officer leans forward and hits the driver over the back of the head with his pistol. Then we're all out.
Come.
I put the camera bag on the roof as they spread eagle us against the car.
Komm. Wo kommst du her? Im Shop. Im Shop.
Reinforcements. More heavily armed border police. The Macedonians had used this route just once too often. We'd been taken over the border at a well-known refugee crossing point that the police knew about. Then we're searched. Samir is worried. He felt one of the Macedonians touch his back pocket as we were bundled out of the car. Now he fears he might have been planted with drugs. We're driven away in a police truck, recorded by our camera, which the police have accidentally put in the right place to get pictures. Our driver in the front is bleeding and starting to suffer the effects of his pistol whipping. he'll spend the rest of the night in hospital. The police continue to act as cameramen for us when they take our bag into the customs post. Last year, the Austrians arrested 6,000 refugees trying to get in this way. The police catch tonight 2 would-be refugees and 2 smugglers. They'd become suspicious of our driver when they'd seen him with 10 people near the border the previous week. I'm lucky. I get out next morning after I tell them I'm a journalist. Samir follows soon afterwards. The careers of the other 2 as smugglers now comes to an end. The driver, when he leaves hospital, receives 5 months for smuggling refugees, and the guide is sentenced to 4.
Okay.
Later, we reconstruct our crossing into Austria from the Slovenian border. We cross through the tank ditch that once marked the old Iron Curtain. For journalists with money, living the life of refugees looking for an escape route is relatively easy. But the deteriorating situation in eastern Bosnia is swelling the number of refugees inside that country to an extraordinary 2 million. For them, there are few ways forward to a better life. And hundreds of thousands who have escaped the war zone, perhaps in convoys like ours to neighbouring countries, will end up stranded in sordid refugee camps with no homes to which to return and no direction in which to go forward.